Okay, this is the review of the 2015 Subaru WRX STi. I always find it interesting when I get into these cars again and see how they feel like a year later. I remember initially when I had initially reviewed it, it's a review you can go see, that I thought it was really a ugly, great handling car. I still think the car is ugly, though not as much as before. The front end, that front fender is disgusting. However, from the side, the rear 3/4 side view, the rear, and I find it looks okay. Even that crazy wing is growing on me with time, but I still wouldn't take it with the wing. Beautiful wheels. This is the high-end model that we're getting, and in Canada that sells for $45,000 plus tax. That's getting expensive for a Subaru WRX STi. I think that car shouldn't be costing you more than $40,000, so I would not recommend the high-end model. However, having that said, the car means business. I mean, just looking at it, you know. I mean, starting with the light aluminum alloy wheels or the functional head scoop, you know this car means business. Plenty of room in the trunk, splits 60/40. In the back, the rear doors look okay-ish. Nice red stitching, which I find kind of sexy. Cup holders there in the bottom, you can see that. In the back, plenty of room for 2 people, 3 people in a pinch. In the center, that center console in the rear seat, that opens up into additional cup holders. So, I mean, you got plenty of cup holders in the back. This car does develop 305 horsepower at 6,000 RPM and 290 foot-pounds of torque at 4,000 RPM, so it is a late rever. It has high power in the upper rev range. The inside door treatment is pretty good, as you can see. I think it looks okay. The interior is fine. As long as you don't take the sports tech package at $45,000 plus tax, you're fine. This Harnum Kardon system, again, doesn't really sound good, and it's not worth paying the money for this. Moving along, the interior has a great seating position, wonderful seating position. You're relatively high up, and the visibility is excellent. That's the way you want it when you're driving fast. Steering wheel is nice, despite the flat bottom steering wheel, which I find is a gimmick. And everything else is just well laid out. It feels inside like a $35,000 car. However, the mechanics make it acceptable at $40,000. That is the bottom line for this car. I'm going to talk about the shift on the road. It's wonderful. It has excellent driving dynamics. There's even like an adjustable differential. There are high-performance Brembo brakes all around the torque vector. There's the all-important hydraulic power steering, which gives it a feel unmatched all its rivals. And also it has STi tuned suspension. So this car is ready for business. It's all business, actually. Meanwhile, in the engine, I love this engine for the power delivery and the power output. However, it does 14 in the city and 10 on the highway. What the F? What the F? Here it is on the road. Driving the 2015 Subaru WRX STi. This car has been reviewed so much on YouTube, including I did a review on it. And I always find it interesting to get back into cars a second time, just to see if my initial impressions last. And I remember the last time I drove both cars, I remember thinking like how exciting the STi was to drive compared to the WRX, and how much I'd probably buy an STi if I had to choose between the two. I just want to give you a general sense of how I feel about this car. Ross said it best. He said that I get these cars for a week. I love driving it for a week. When I get to the dealer and I get the car, I'm so happy. And then at the end of the week, when I get to the dealer and I give the keys back, I'm very happy. And that sums up the STi. It's got an edge. This car's got an edge in everything. The suspension, the steering. This is a hydraulic steering. It's heavy, it's weighty. There's a tremendous amount of feedback. The shifter is extremely notchy. The clutch pedal is, I've been driving it now for a while. It's almost unacceptably hard to press. The resistance is huge, but the take-up is beautiful. It is the quintessential driver's car, and it is a tremendous display of Subaru's mechanical engineering. So, that said, I love the driving position. I love looking out like this. The view is incredible from everywhere. The car is practical. This car has many qualities. However, and I want to talk also about the engine. This engine has been criticized by many online because it didn't really evolve since the last 10 years, and you know, it could use an update. I would argue that it sorely needs an update for the fuel economy because it's a 4-cylinder turbo, but it drinks like a V8. However, you know, the amount of power, the power delivery, this power delivery, it's crazy enough to be fun, yet not overpowered as many cars today to be too dangerous. And I love this engine. I love this engine. This is my favorite 4-cylinder engine turbo in the world. Yes, I said in the world. I drove the 228i, and it doesn't deliver power like this. Now the 228i does save fuel. It's a very fuel efficient engine. So I'm not comparing apples with apples, but I just find this engine, the delivery of the power and the amount of power, it's really a perfect engine. It's what I would consider a perfect engine for anyone. I mean, really. The WRX has a more technologically advanced engine. I mean, when you drive that car, it is so smooth, it's much more efficient, but it doesn't have that rip, it doesn't have that edge that this engine has. I love this engine. I'm gonna stop saying that now. Another thing that's remarkable about this car is how hard it is to live with every day. I'm 40 years old, Ross is 47-ish, I think, and it's just too rough around the edges. The wind noise is unbearable on the highway. This car revs almost 3,000 RPM at 60 miles an hour. I mean, 100 kilometers an hour. I mean, that's way too high. It needs, you swear, it needs a 7th gear. I love that the gears are closely spaced when you're driving fast, 1, 2, 3, 4. But after that, I think you can go into overdrive. I mean, come on. There is no overdrive. The seats are okay. They're very good, actually, except I didn't feel it the last time Ross told me about it, but now I'm feeling it now. After half an hour, I kind of want to get out of these seats. But that's okay. I'm just bitching there. I'm doing this is a critical review there. I have to be critical. And that's the STi. Those are like just some random thoughts that I have driving this car. It's fun. It is so fun to drive hard, except you can't turn it off. When you're done your spirited driving, the car becomes, I think, slightly unbearably uncomfortable. And that's the review of the WRX STi second take.